Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Mr. Wildcat, and welcome back to another one of Mr. Wildcat's Married Children Reviews. Before we begin today, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you do not miss out on future content that is just around the corner. And believe me, you are not going to want to miss what Mr. Wildcat is about to bring to you all. Okay? And then there's also going to be another major announcement coming after the review is over. So make sure that you stay tuned to hear what Mr. Wildcat has to say. And believe me, you are not going to want to miss this one. Okay? So, Major League Baseball, we're about a month and a half into the 2024 season at the time we're recording this episode. Okay? We are, and I figured, since I pulled out my Diamondbacks National League Champions T-shirt. Yeah, I eventually became a Diamondbacks fan after being in Arizona for 24 years. Naughty, naughty. But at least I'm not a Dodgers fan. Anyway, we are going to be doing a Major League Baseball themed episode. This one is centered around the 1994 Major League Baseball strike titled A Man for No Seasons. This is the 11th episode to come out of Season 9. Recorded on November 11th, 1994. Originally broadcast November 27th, 1994. One thing to note before we before we go into the episode, it's one of those. This is one of those episodes that was directed by Amanda Bears. Okay, she's the one who plays that lesbian wife, Marcy Darcy. Okay, on Married Children. Okay, so she became a director in later parts of the show. So we are going to be looking at. So today we're going to be. This is also a No Ma'am centered episode, which is why Mr. Wildcat has popped out his No Ma'am T-shirt. Okay, and in fact, we actually start the episode during a No Ma'am meeting in Al Bundy's garage. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so we start. The meeting starts in Al Bundy's garage. We hear the toilet flushing, and then Al gets onto his gavel and starts calling the meeting to order. I now call to order this meeting of No Ma'am National Organization of Men Against Amazonia Masterhood. Butter Jefferson will read the minutes of our last meeting. 801, 802, 803. The same damn joke every week. Hey, every time Bob Rooney plays the armpit tuba, you all laugh. Well, that's funny. Let it rip, Bob. I gotta be kidding. I gotta be honest with you. Have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Just trying to go along with the flow. Okay. Then Jefferson really goes into seriousness with the actual minutes. Okay. Last week we bitched about the baseball strike, drank beer, peed, drank more beer, peed again, then hurried home to drink beer and pee. Okay. Now on a new business. So basically, Griff, who is Al's co-worker at Gary's Shoes and Accessories, we were introduced to him a few episodes prior in the episode Naughty But Nice, the Amber episode. And he stays with Al's. He stays on the show and with Al's shoe store through the end of the show's run. He is pledging to be a member of No Ma'am. Okay, so he's being brought in as a new recruit. Right, Sergeant Imes Ike, please bring the plebe in. Now, Griff, you have survived the other initiation rites, the purchasing of panty shields in broad daylight, the attending of a Julio concert in wig and matching ensemble. Are you ready for the third and final challenge? Hey, I got an ex-wife and I work at a shoe store. I feel no pain. Then Sergeant Imes Ike, please escort Griff to the bath. Excuse me, I mean the Chamber of the Damned, please. Meanwhile, you got Jefferson and Bob Rooney. They're trying to talk some sense into Al. Hey, Griff, are you sure? Hey, Al, you sure we should put Griff through this? Yeah, the human mind is only made of flesh and bone. Hey, no, ma'am, isn't like California. You can't just walk in. Our standards have to be tough. Now, if a man can't stand a 2-hour videotape of Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, he's not strong enough to be a no, ma'am. So the videotape starts, and we hear Griff screaming in the bathroom. Ah! Before we go any further, oh my God, okay. Now, I do remember Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman airing on TV, but I've never seen it. And I don't quite understand what all the fuss is about why so many people hated this show. All right? So if anybody who has actually seen the show, and even better yet, has hated it, can discuss to me why Married Children poked such huge insults about this show, especially in this episode, let me know in the video comment section below. Okay? Okay. So Al continues the meeting. Now on a new business. We have to do something about this baseball strike. It is affecting the way we live. Okay? One of the men say that he had to take his wife to the beauty parlor. Another man said he had to take his wife to the opera. Al, on the other hand, I had to take my wife. Oh! And the other guys were grossed out. Meanwhile, back in the chamber of the dam, we hear Griff reacting to Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. Make the Indians kill her, please! The Indians kill her! Now, if the players don't want to play, I don't give a damn. We don't need them. We can play with ourselves. Don't mind if I do. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, you mean that? Not that playing with yourself? Damn it! And it was National Masturbation Month, too. So we have Griff. No, you have Ike. So that means dismissed. Ike, go in there with Griff. Okay? So Al is now pretty much pissed, and he throws Ike into the... You are to go in there and watch the rest of that Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman episode with Griff. Ike opens up the door. Griff is about to run. He's trying to run out, but Ike pushes him back in. Okay. So now, the other guys, okay? So now the conversation continues. So, we're going to play baseball. We are. Where? How about Wrigley Field? Huh. Hey, the Cubs ain't using it. They weren't using it before They weren't even using it before the strike. And then we hear Ike and Griff in the chamber of the dam. Oh my God! They're bathing at the river. So, what if they don't let us use Wrigley? It's private property. Oh, come on. Who's going to stop a bunch of great American guys from playing the great American pastime? Seeing flips. We see the no man gang in jail, behind bars, and the whole crowd goes wild. Yeah! And then else, well, I mean, except for the police. Well, at least it was great to hear the crack of the bat again. Though with a nightstick. But you know, it was great to get outside and play a little baseball. We pitched well, we hit well, and man, Jefferson, I didn't realize you could run so fast. Hey, you run faster with a police dog in your back pocket. Then Officer Dan, he makes his he shows up to the jail cell. Well, well, well. Hey, Officer Dan, what are you doing here? Same thing you do at the shoe store, Al. Waiting for quitting time? Exactly. And it's Rips night. Ooh! Now, Now, I was seriously going to go over to my local Sam's Club and buy some of those rotisserie baby back ribs that they cook up, like they do with those rotisserie chickens. They also have ribs and stuff. I was going to bring one of those in to do with this episode. But then I realized it's way too messy. Okay, they put so much barbecue sauce on that thing. It's going to be so messy. All right. Oh, I love baby back ribs. I can't eat it because it's going to make me fat and mess up my mouth. But it's so good. It's a, that's Brian Griffin eating chocolate on Family Guy. Oh, I love chocolate. I can't eat it because it'll make me fat. But it's so good. So, heard you were busted climbing the vines at Wrigley Field. We miss baseball. I miss good sex. You don't see me climbing my wife. Anyway, I came to tell you you've been sprung. What? By who? I am so sick of coming down here. The wives! The wives! Jefferson screams. He pulls up his no ma'am t-shirt and it says, yes ma'am. So this little no thing is missing. It just has this little feminine sign and it says yes on there in order to fool Marcy. Okay? Peggy, Marcy, and some of the other guys' wives have shown up to the jail cell. Peggy goes, there they are, the roids of summer. No conjugal visits. Then Marcy has her 2 cents. Jefferson Darcy. Now I expect Al to be involved in some receding harebrained scheme like this. But what are you in for? Jefferson's in a pickle, and then he winds up having some of his no ma'am buddies help him fill in the gaps. I was on my way to a job interview when suddenly I was kidnapped by a gang of chickens. Bob Rooney fills in the job interview line. Griff says the kidnap line, while Al says chickens, and that caught Jefferson off guard, and it got to the point, and it literally pissed off Marcy, and the audience went wild. I was on my way to a job interview when suddenly I was kidnapped by a gang of chickens. Yeah! And Jefferson's sitting there all embarrassed. Nice going, Al. You made an ass of myself. That's his body language here. Then he has to do damage control. But real chickens, not you. You know, Al, I thought about letting you spend the night in jail. Well, thank you. You know, it's Ribs night. Not tonight. We have tickets for the theater. That's right. Tonight is Ace Ventura the musical. Starring Mel Carter, Joyce DeWitt, and that guy that played Horseshack. He's Ace. Al tries to get out of this by trying to stay in jail. He goes to Officer Dan. I confess to killing a bunch of people and eating them. Then you've already had your ribs. Opens up the jail cell, and the no ma'am guys are free. Okay, Peggy brings Al back to the house. Breaking into Wrigley Field. How else could you embarrass me? Well, I could pull up the shade while you're taking a shower. Then Kelly comes down the stairs. Daddy? I am so proud of you. Now I can tell all my friends my dad is an ex-con instead of a shoe salesman. You see, Peggy, she's happy. Okay. You see that, Peg? She's proud of me. Yes, she's also proud of her shiny, shiny shoes. And they're shiny. Look. Oh, come on, Peg. So we had a little fun. It's not like everybody knows about this. Then Bud comes walking in the house. Hey, Dad, look. You made the headline on the sports page. Look. Loons invade Wrigley Field. What? Ah, damn press. They misspelled my name. Alberty. Burdy. Okay? Alberty. Alberty. I like it. Peggy Birdie. I really like it. Okay? Peggy's really catching on to this. Ding ding. We have a celebrity guest appearance in this episode. We have Joe Morgan. All right, we'll talk about him in a little bit. Hi, I'm Joe Morgan. Are you Alberti? Okay, it's actually Bud Bundy it's actually Bud that opens the door, and he responds, no. I believe the birdie you're looking for is that dodo over there. Peg, that's Joe Morgan. Kid, that's Joe Morgan. Mike Piazza, that's Joe. Joe Morgan, that's Mike Piazza. What are you guys doing here? Just trying to make an honest buck. And with just about every sport on strike, you guys are the biggest news story going. Maybe do a little interview with you? Yes, no problem. Peggy Bundy tries to. Yeah, no problem. He tries to sell shoes. He tries to satisfy his wife. He does neither. Back to you, Joe. And who is this lovely lady? Oh, that's my daughter, Kelly. The redhead here is her mother, Rodan. Oh, sure. Go ahead, Joe. Just interview away. Turn the camera on. Turn on the camera. How does this... Mike asks how this camera works. How does this thing work again? Turn it on when I'm talking and off when you think you have something to say. Right? Joe Morgan pulls up his microphone. We're here with the leader of the Wrigley Field Breaking Boys, Al Birdie. Al tries to correct himself, Bundy. Oh, that's Bundy. Birdie, let me ask you this. Why? You know, I've asked him that myself over the years. He said he's either too tired. Pay no attention to that little red machine, Joe. Why do we play baseball? For the love of the game. Just like every American husband. It's our right 7 months out of the year to sit on the couch with a bowl of pretzels and a frosty cold one and watch baseball. Since that right has been violated and the owners and players have not been able to resolve their differences, we just simply decided to play the game ourselves. Unfortunately, our audience might have missed that since the camera's suddenly shooting Baywatch. Now, I have to clarify, okay, for those of you who don't understand the episode, okay? While Al is sitting there trying to make that speech, the camera is not focused on Al. It's instead focused on Kelly and showing how Kelly's attractive body. And when Joe finds out exactly what's going on, he has to grab that camera. Okay. Unfortunately, our audience might have missed that since the camera is suddenly shooting Baywatch. Sitting there letting Mike Piazza have it. Okay. Anyway, Al, it seems that you're not alone. Are you aware that the challenge has been issued by another group of out-of-shape fat guys from St. Louis? Wait. You guys mean there's another team of geezers who want to play as my dad's geezers? Well, that couldn't happen because we have tickets for that Silencio Casuela. Well, Al, do you accept the challenge from St. Louis? In a word, Joe, abso-fucking-lutely. There you have it, fans. There you have it, sports fans, that is. This year's Major League Baseball season may be at an end, but the game continues on. While Joe is trying to talk, the camera all of a sudden goes back to Kelly, and Joe's, get this camera back on me. I was just trying my autofocusy thing, right? Al gets back on his he then gets back on the microphone, and this time Mike Piazza actually has Al's face on. Baseball is America's game. It belongs to the people, and the people is us. So I, Al Birdie, say, Let there be baseball. Let there be life. Yeah! Okay. So that marks the end of the first act. And let's take a short commercial break, shall we? We're back. So, second act. We are still in the Bundy household, except this time you have Peggy, Bud, and Kelly on the couch. They're reading the newspapers, okay? You know, I can't believe Dad and the rest of the bad news buttcracks are trying to form their own league. Trying to form their own league and tour across the country? Well, they did beat St. Louis. Okay, Kelly is so dumb. Kelly is so dumb. She basically thinks that ST stands for street, but it's actually Saint. That's St. Louis, honey. Well, I guess the league of his is going to be a success after all. Bud, this is your father we're talking about. When has he ever done anything successful? Okay, but Al comes walking in the door in his baseball uniform. Family, guess what you're looking at? The salt and the sweat. Yeah, that's right, Peg. Charge the mound. But we're lining up for it. But they're lining up for us. This thing could be really big. And we even got a sponsor. Who would be stupid enough to sponsor you guys? Only the wealthiest man in Chicago. Michael Jordan? Wealthier. And my guy can hit the curveball. Family, allow me to introduce you to the owner of our team, the Chicago Clevage, and the owner of the best damn nudie bar in town, Akbar Johnson. Greetings, all. Bud. Peggy and Kelly are grossed out. Okay. Your team is sponsored by a nudie bar? Yeah, not just our team, Peg, but every team in the league. The Boston Bazooms, the New Jersey Nays, the Buffalo Bodacious Tatas, and the San Francisco Guys. And you know what the best part is, Peggy? Your uniform has a trap door. If only the couch had one, Peg. All of our games will be away games. I'll be gone 6 weeks. I made the schedule myself. Isn't that great, Peg? You mean we won't be together for 6 weeks? Yes. It's like the second honeymoon I've always wanted. And kids, I haven't forgotten about you. I have a special surprise. We have to go with you too? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. No, but if this thing works out, Daddy will be gone for many, many years. And there's something very important I need you to do. What? Basically, Al wants Bud and Kelly to look over the shoe store. Because after all, Griff went with Griff, who is now a member of No Man. He went with the rest of the guys too. So now these two guys have to sit here and okay. Now Bud and Kelly have to sit there and try to put shoes on fat women. Okay, but it's Kelly that says something about this makes me want to tell old high school football stories. Well, you're lucky. I have no. It's Bud that says something about this makes me want to tell old high school football stories. Well, you're lucky. I have a sudden urge to read Biggins. I don't care what anybody says. This has got to be the worst job in the world. Then we have a pizza delivery guy that walks. Okay, a pizza delivery guy walks into the shoe store with the pizza that Bud and Kelly had ordered. Now I got the worst job in the world. Hey Kelly, that's Brett Saberhagen. Well, what is this? Then why does his name tag say Bobby Bonilla? He called in sick. Then a mall security guard comes in. Hey, Saberhagen, is that your pizza truck in the red zone? Hey, come on, Tartarball. If I don't get this here in 30 minutes, they're going to take it out of my check. Well, at least you get a check. I get paid in mall dollars. Danny, can I bribe you with a pizza? Let me check my security guard handbook. Yep. Hey, wait a minute, that's our pizza! Tells the commissioner. So that's flashback. Okay, so you got Saberhagen and you have Tartarball that are basically, okay, these guys are apparently Major League Baseball stars themselves that are trying to find, that are working shitty jobs just to make ends meet while baseball is on strike. Okay? So then we go, so that's why he says tell the commissioner, because, okay, he's not happy about being a pizza delivery guy. He'd rather be on the baseball field hitting home runs. But then we go to a montage. We're in the baseball field, and we hear an organ version of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the park. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever come back, 'cause it's root for the home team. If we don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, we're out of the old ball game. Or as what we say here in Tucson anytime the Wildcats are in the World Series. Take me to the World Series. Take me to Omaha. Grab me some EGs and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever go back, 'cause it's root for the Wildcats. If we don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, we're out of the World Series. All right. So Geraldus' song is being played. You see a montage. You see each player is taking a hit to the ball, and then going from one game to another. And then you have Iqbal and his wife in the stands, and then Al winds up taking the plate. The audience chants, "Birdie, birdie, birdie, birdie." That's Bundy. Birdie, birdie, birdie. Okay. So then we have another baseball player. I forget what his name is. Okay. I think it's Danny Tartarball or something like that. Or Dan. It's either Danny Tartarball, Frank Thomas, or Dave Winfield. One of those three. Okay, is flipping newspapers. Okay, he asked the director, "Can I have a break?" "No." "Can I have a break?" "Can I have a break now?" "Oh, absolutely. Thank you." "Where the hell is Saberhagen with my lasagna?" Okay, thanks. "Where the hell is Saberhagen with my lasagna?" Okay. So then we have another. Okay, so Joe Morgan has fired Mike Piazza and has a new guy running the camera. Okay, how does this thing work again? Okay, that's it. Next time I'm hiring a hockey guy. Okay. Anyway, we are back at the Bundy household, and it's supposed to be Al's return home from his road trip. Okay. Bud and Kelly both walk into the house. Bud says, "A fat woman came to the shoe store today, and Bud still looked up her dress." "I see London, I see France, I see someone's diapered ass." All right. Yeah, like I could help it. Her dress, it was everywhere. "Hi, Mom. You look nice. How come?" "Oh, well, today's the end of your father's road trip, and hopefully the beginning of his 7-minute homestand." So, Mrs. Birdie, this must be a big. So, Mrs. Birdie, this must be a big moment for you. I bet you miss the big guy." "Oh, yes. I also miss my husband. Yeah, the point is that when a man has been gone this long, any man, it's just good to have him back." So, Peggy is sitting there fondling Dave Winfield. Okay, he's apparently the camera guy. Bud is basically having to tell her, Mom, that's not Dad, that's Dave Winfield. Mind your business! Okay. Okay. Then we have Al who comes back in the house. All the places I've been, the people I've seen, but when you get right down to it, there's no place like home. Come to Papa. Look out. Oh, Dave, I missed you so much. We got to do something about. Okay. And then Dave goes over to Joe and says, "We got to do something about the strike." Joe then hops back on the camera, on the microphone. "Welcome home, Al. You know it's refreshing to see someone who plays just for the love of the game?" "Well, it isn't just me, Joe. I mean, kids who play sandlot ball, do they play for money? College kids without scholarships, do they play for money? Anything you do for love, Joe, money should never be a consideration. So the fact that Akbar and the other owners sold the TV rights for your championship game for $3 million doesn't bother you?" "Not in the slightest, Joe. And I've said this many times before. I've always played the game for $3 million. Does Akbar not take the risk?" By the way, Akbar is at the door during this interview. "Does Akbar not take the risk? Does Birdie not bring in the fans? The owners are going broke. Show us your books." "No. We're the players. You need us. We're the owners. You need us. Players, owners, players, owners, players, owners." Then, okay, we take we move into a new scene. We see the exterior of the house. Says, sometime later, or something like that. And then we see Joe Morgan making another sports report, except it's Buck that's watching the TV, not the No Man guys. "Well, it was made official today. The owners and players of the Nudie Bar. Okay. Well, it was made official today. The owners and players of the National Nudie Bar League had failed to reach agreement on player compensation for the upcoming championship series, prompting yet another in a string of unfortunate season-ending walkouts. So the recap: baseball is on strike, hockey is on strike, and Saturday Night Live just won't end. That's 3 strikes and we're out. I'm Joe Morgan. We now join Filipino slap fighting already in progress." Then we go back to the Bundy garage where they're about to hold another no-man meeting. "Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. I now call the order of this meeting of the National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood. Brother Jefferson, will you please read the minutes of the last meeting?" 801, 802, 803, 804, 80. Apparently, at Al's request, Jefferson gets whacked out. Okay? Because now Al is getting sick and tired of this shit. Alright? That is the end of the episode. Alright? By the way. Okay? So now let's go to the trivia. Again, there's quite a little bit of it too. So, the title of the episode is a reference to the play in 1966 film A Man for All Seasons. Okay? It is nowhere close to what this episode is about. So, the 1966 film is a 1966 British historical drama film directed and produced by Fred Zinnemann, adapted by Robert Bolt and from his play of the same name. It depicts the final years of Sir Thomas More, the 16th century Lord Chancellor of England, who refused to both sign a letter asking Pope Clement VII and to annul Henry VIII of England's marriage to Catherine of Aragon and take an oath of supremacy, declaring Henry supreme head of the Church of England. Okay. Paul Scofield, who had played Moore in the West End stage premiere, also took the role in the film, starring alongside Wendy Hiller, Robert Shaw, Savannah York, and Orson Welles. Also appearing are Nigel Davenport, Leo McKern, Corin Redgrave, Vanessa Redgrave, and in one of his earlier scenes, John Hurt. Never heard of any of these guys except for Orson Welles. All right, So I don't know what we're getting ourselves into here. Okay. It was released by Columbia Pictures on December 12th, 1966. It was made on a $2 million budget and grossed $28.4 million. Okay, so it was a huge success. A Man for All Seasons was a critical and box office success. It won the Academy Award for Best Picture at the 39th Academy Awards, while the cast and crew won another 5, including Best Director for Zinnemann, Best Actor for Schofield. It also won the Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture Drama and the BAFTA Awards for Best Film and Best British Film. In 1999, the British Film Institute named it the 43rd greatest British film of all time. All right. Paul Schofield, who plays the lead role, born January 1st, 1922, died March 19th, 2008. So he died at the age of 86. He would have been 102 years old if he were still alive today. I'm pretty sure most of these other people are passed on. Okay. But, okay, that's A Man for All Seasons, and I'm not going to go much into it because I really don't understand it, nor do I really care. Okay. This was the first appearance of the recruiting No Man member Ike. Okay. During the end credits, part of it reads, "For Rocco, April 19th, 1979 through October 23rd, 1994, per. Somebody's cat must have passed away, and they probably paid a special tribute to their pet Rocco or something like that. All right. Now, here's the part that we need to go deep into. It is the 1994 Major League Baseball strike. Okay. The episode debuted during the 94-95 Major League Baseball strike, which canceled the remainder of the 94 season along with its postseason. The 1994 season was one of the biggest seasons yet at the time of cancellation. For example, the single-season record for home runs, held by Roger Maris with 61, was in serious jeopardy with San Francisco third baseman Matt Williams in the lead. San Diego Padres outfielder Tony Gwynn was close to batting 400 on the season and stood at 394 at the time of the strike. The last batter to bat 400 was Ted Williams in 1941. At the time of the strike, the Montreal Expos had a record of 74-40 and were leading the National League East. After the strike was ended by future Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, the team's players got sold off in a fire sale. The Expos never recovered, and after nearly being contracted out of existence in 2002, they were relocated to Washington, D.C. for the 2005 season, renamed the Washington Nationals, where they eventually won the 2019 World Series. Some experts believe that the Expos were World Series contenders and had a good shot at the title, despite having the second lowest payroll in baseball. One thing I'm going to comment on this, okay? If you thought I hated Barack Obama and Sonia Sotomayor before, I hate her even more now. After just finding out that that fucking bitch was responsible for the collapse of the Montreal Expos. So for those of you pissed off about Major League Montreal losing its baseball team, you can thank that asshole in the Supreme Court. All right? And you know how she got appointed? I'll tell you why, okay? During the first few months of Obama's presidency, Democrats had a supermajority in Congress. Okay, the Senate, there were 60 Democrats in the Senate, and they also had a supermajority in the House as well. How did they get that supermajority? Well, in the 2000 election, everybody went out and voted for Obama because they wanted to see a black president in their lifetime. And while they were out there, they voted for every Democrat they could get their filthy little hands on. Okay? Democrats were winning congressional districts that were either purple or conservative. And these congressmen, they got their asses booted out of office in the 2010 midterms. That was a huge... Okay? You should have seen all these Democrats get in the House of Representatives that got the boot because they were so angry with the shit that both the House and Senate were trying to shove through Congress during the first 2 years of Obama's presidency. Especially Obamacare, which I'm not going to go into. All right. Meanwhile, over the Senate, they could shove through anything they wanted because they had a supermajority. Democrats could shove anything through that they wanted, and there was nothing the Republicans could do to stop it, including picks for the Supreme Court. And of course, you had a few chicken shits on the Republican side that actually went along with Sotomayor because they knew, hey, we don't stand a chance. We might as well go for it. Stand up for Lindsey Graham. Stand up for yourself, you fucking wuss. But enough of that, okay? So for those of you wondering why the Montreal Expos got the boot, this is why. And don't be afraid to write to that fucking asshole in the Supreme Court. Thanks for getting rid of the Montreal Expos, you fat bitch. It also prevented an oddity. The Major League Baseball strike had also prevented an oddity that was threatened due to the strike, but not repeated since. The winner of the American League West was poised to finish under 500. In the National Football League, the Seahawks won the 2010 NFC West title despite being under 500 with a 7-9 record. And this is because every single team in the NFC West was horrible that year. Okay? Kurt Warner had just left the Cardinals, and that was a big blow to them. And pretty much the only games that the NFC West had won, anybody in the NFC West had pretty much won throughout that whole year, was against the division. Okay? As of 2022, the feat was also duplicated twice, with the Carolina Panthers winning the NFC South in 2014 with a 7-8-1 record, and the Washington Redskins winning the NFC East in 2020 with a 7-9 record. Yes, I know it says Washington Football Team, but I'm not going to recognize them as Washington Football Team or the Washington Commanders. They're always going to be recognized as the Washington Redskins. And if you don't, okay, you guys go fuck yourselves. If you don't, you got a problem with that. All right. Finally, the 1994 was supposed to be the debut season for a third round of postseason play called the Division Series. This was scheduled due to each league splitting into 3 divisions each and with a wild card for each league. Though there was a Division Series in 1981, it was also a strike year which forced Major League Baseball to split the division into 2 halves. The first half division winner faced the second half winner for a shot to advance to the League Championship Series. Ironically, this is the only season Montreal had made the Major League Baseball postseason as the second half National League East winners. The Expos would eventually lose to the eventual world champion LA Dodgers in the National League Championship Series. Towards the end of the episode, a news reporter mentions that both baseball and hockey are on strike. This is also in reference to the 94-95 National Hockey League lockout that saw the season shortened. Although unlike baseball, it was resolved and the season did eventually start. Oddly, Frank Thomas was the only baseball player guest star who played for a Chicago team. The other players who guest starred played for rivals, but in the episode somehow ended up in the Chicago area during the strike. The guest stars and their position jobs in baseball at the time of the strike included Mike Piazza, who was a catcher for the LA Dodgers, Brett Saberhagen, a starting pitcher for the New York Mets, Danny Tartabull, an outfielder designated hitter for the New York Yankees, Frank Thomas, first baseman for the Chicago White Sox, Dave Winfield, a outfielder designated hitter for the Cleveland Indians. He was traded to Cleveland on August 31st for dinner as Twins and Indians executives went to dinner with the later picking up the tab. Joe Morgan, he was a Hall of Fame second baseman for several teams, with the most notable being the Cincinnati Reds. At the time of the strike, he was a broadcaster, most notably with ESPN, and worked with the 1994 All-Star Game in Pittsburgh alongside Bob Costas and Bob Ueckler. Okay. Another thing I will tell you about Joe Morgan, okay? Joe Morgan did pass away a few years ago. It was first week of October 2020. I remember this because the day before, I was involved in a car accident on my way home from work. Some idiot down in Sahuarita, about 20 minutes south of Tucson, was not paying attention. Like, I stopped at a red light, yielding to for a green light. Okay, I was stopped at a red light, and the person behind me was not paying attention, slammed right into me in the back of the car, and then I had to take my car in the next day to get an estimate from the insurance company and start to make arrangements to have it taken in. And while I'm sitting there getting an estimate for this car, I read in the news that Joe Morgan had passed away. And of course, you know me, okay? We hop on a Married Children Facebook page and share the link in it with the quote, "Unfortunately, our audience might have missed that since the camera is suddenly shooting Baywatch." Okay. When Bud sees Brett Saberhagen as the pizza delivery man, Kelly asks if he is really Saberhagen. Why does his name say Bobby Bonilla? Bobby Bonilla at the time was filmed a third baseman, right fielder for the New York Mets, and one of the highest paid Major League Baseball players. Towards the end, the news reporter who mentions the failure of the Nudie Bar League also mentions that Saturday Night Live just won't end. It is a reference to the long-running NBC sketch comedy, which has been perceived by some to be in a constant state of declining quality since its sixth season in the 1980-81. Ironically, around this time this episode aired, Saturday Night Live was seriously considered for cancellation by the network, but it was saved following a major cast overhaul the following season, and is still on the air as of 2024. And I'll tell you right now, I have not watched Saturday Night Live for several years, and that's a show that needs to go away because it's not funny anymore. And I don't really know anybody that's on that show. Okay. Part of Griff's initiation included watching the CBS Western drama Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Why don't we talk about that's since it's right here. So basically, it ran 6 seasons and had 2 TV movies. Ran from January 1st, 1993 through May 16th, 1998 for a total of 150 episodes. An American Western drama television series created and executive produced by Bette Sullivan and starring Jane Seymour, who plays Dr. Mikola Quinn, a physician who leaves Boston in search of adventure in the Old West and settles in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Let's check the reception. All right. I'm not wasting my time with that. All right. Marcy and Peggy reveal that they have tickets to see Ace Ventura the Musical, which stars Nell Carter, Joyce DeWitt, and the guy that played Horseshack. All right. Ace Ventura is a fictional pet detective played by Jim Carrey in the 1994 film Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. At the time this episode originally aired, the character had his own film, followed by a sequel a year later and an animated series, although there was no musical ever made for the franchise. Okay. Nell Carter was an American singer and actress who was best known for the NBC sitcom Give Me a Break. At the time the episode aired, she was one of the stars on the ABC sitcom Hanging with Mr. Cooper. And I believe they do get a mention in season 10's Torch Song Duet. Okay. Nell Carter would pass away in January 23rd, 2003. She was 54 years old at the time of her passing. Okay. Joyce DeWitt is an American actress, best known for playing Janet in the 1970s sitcom Three's Company. She's still alive, isn't she? I'm pretty sure she is. Yep, 75 years old. Just turned 75 a couple weeks ago. She is a graduate. She got a bachelor's degree from Ball State with a master's at UCLA. Okay. She's been married since 19. She graduated in 1974. Okay. She did Three's Company. She did Super Train. That was a horrible show. That show almost drove NBC right out of business. That's an episode. That's something we can talk about another day. Okay. Okay. The guy that played Horseshack is a reference to actor Ron Palillo, who played the character Arnold Dienfelder Horseshack in the 1970s sitcom Welcome Back, Kotter. So let's take a look at Ron Palillo. This guy, he's been dead for quite a while. So he born April 2nd, 1949, died August 14th, 2012. He played the dim-witted character Arnold Horseshack in Welcome Back, Kotter from 1975 to 1979. He suffered a heart attack in August of 2012 and was pronounced dead on arrival at the when he arrived at the hospital. He was 63 years old, I believe. Yeah. May he rest in peace. Okay. Can I imagine? Can I imagine that guy playing? Well, if you put the right costume on, you could probably get away with it, even though I've never seen it. During the montage of the Chicago Clevage plane, Akbar and the other attendees do the tomahawk chop. Okay, a celebrated move in which the forearms move forwards and backwards repetitively with an open palm to stimulate the chopping action with the tumble block. In Major League Baseball, it is usually associated with the Atlanta Braves and the National Football League, the Kansas City Chiefs, as both teams use Native American themes in their logo and branding. And I'll tell you another thing that's not mentioned here. It's also done by the Florida State Seminoles in college football. Na 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 na. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. And for those of you, before you start going off with that political bullshit, piss off. You PC maggots. All right, where were we here? The national anthem of baseball, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, is played during the montage of the Cleveland Clevage playing as the audience cheers. And let's talk. Let's see if there is an article about that. So it's a song. It was written in 1908 by Jack Norworth and Albert von Tilzer, which became the unofficial anthem of North American baseball, although neither of its authors had attended a game before writing the song. The song's chorus is traditionally sung as part of the seventh inning stretch of a ball game. Fans are generally encouraged to sing along, and at some ballparks, the word home team are replaced with the team name. They do that. That's what they do with the Diamondbacks. So that's root for the D-backs. If we don't win, it's a shame. For we just got fucked in the ass to the LA Dodgers. Okay, enough of that shit. I'm not going to talk about more about. Okay, so let's pull up. Let's see if I can pull up my review for this episode. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about. Okay. So now it's time to do my review for this episode. Oh, before we do, if the season were to end today, let's see where. Okay, we can go back and look at this at the end of the season. This. Okay, I invite you guys to come back and check this video out at the end of the 2024 season and see how good these teams actually stay consistent throughout the season. Okay, so if the season were to end today, okay, American League the divisional winners would be the New York Yankees. The AL East would be the Yankees. The Cleveland Guardians, previously known as the Cleveland Indians, would take the AL Central. Seattle Mariners would have the American League West, with the wild cards going to the Baltimore Orioles, Kansas City Royals, and the Minnesota Twins. Okay. Over the National League, if the season were to end today, the divisional winners would be the Philadelphia Phillies, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the LA Dodgers, with the wild cards being awarded over to the Atlanta Braves and the Chicago Cubs, with a three-way tie between the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Nationals. The Padres will own the tiebreaker over the Diamondbacks and the Nationals for that third wildcard spot based on the better winning percentage. Okay? There are no tiebreaker games. Right? There's no more 163rd game to determine a tiebreaker. They do have a shitload of guidelines. They go down the list. They start at the very top, and if it's still tied, they go to the next one, and then they keep going so until they have an actual difference between the two. And the one who has the better advantage, they're the ones who get. Okay. So let's go back and come back at the end of the 2024 season and see how well we did. So let's take a look at my review, okay? Now, I am very young. I'm too young to remember the 94 lockout. So I can't tell you my experiences on that. If you lived through the 94 lockout, and you please share your experiences in the comment section below. But do keep your comments in the boundaries of good taste. All right? So, all right. I do remember some NHL lockouts, though. I don't remember the one from the mid-90s, but I do remember the one from the 04-05 season. That locked out the entire season. And you know why they locked that out? These Canadian, because the previous agreement screwed the Canadian teams up the ass. And that previous agreement eventually cost Canada 2 hockey teams, the Quebec Nordiques and the Winnipeg Jets, who have both relocated to the U.S. Okay, and okay, they were afraid that a new agreement, any new agreement that was going to come to the table, was going to screw them even more. So they kept fighting until they could get something more agreeable to them. And unfortunately, it took the entire season. There was no there was no NHL at all that year. Not even a Stanley Cup playoff. Such a bummer too, because I love hockey. I'd rather be watching that than the NBA or Major League Baseball. Okay. Okay. I'll tell you right now, Major League Baseball, uh, the um, the 2020 season for Major League Baseball was shortened because of this COVID pandemic. At the time that Major League Baseball was supposed to start, all the other leagues they got put on hiatus, and they had to figure out what to do. So basically, because of the travel restrictions between the two countries, the Toronto Blue Jays, they wind up having to move over. They relocated to Buffalo, New York, for at least a year or so, at least until the travel restrictions eased up. Okay, because it was very difficult for teams to move in and out of the country. Okay, the Buffalo they have a ballpark that accommodates a minor league team called the Buffalo Bisons. They got some very good upgrades as a direct result of the Blue Jays having to play there for a little while. Okay, but don't count on Buffalo getting a Major League Baseball team. The city's on decline, and okay, it's not big enough to accommodate all four major leagues. Okay, in fact, they lost the NBA in part because they had a hard time competing with the Sabres. Okay, so I was also too young to remember Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. I don't know why No Ma'am hated it. Okay, I'm guessing it's as bad as having. Okay, it's probably as bad as some of the worst episodes of Married Children. Top of the Heap, Enemies. Okay, just to say a few. Okay, Ace for Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura. Now, Ace Ventura, I actually love that movie. In fact, one of the things I do plan on coming out with in the later month, during the upcoming months, is top 10 favorite quotes from Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Okay, because I absolutely loved that film. Ever since I first watched it when I was in the second grade, and I've been hooked on it ever since. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. Okay. Jim Carrey, he was a very good actor. There are some things I actually liked about him. And then there's other stuff that I'm not a big fan of. Okay, 1994 was a huge year for Jim Carrey because he had three blockbuster hits that hit the theaters. He became a huge international sensation by that point. So you had Dumb and Dumber, you had The Mask, and then you had Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. And out of those three, The Mask is the only one I really didn't care for. Okay. Jim Carrey he played the villain. He did the Joker in the Batman Forever, the same film that featured Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. Okay, he was good in that because he can play a villain. He can play a good villain from time. I was not too thrilled. Okay, the Cable Guy, very creepy. All right, and let's see, the Grinch. He does have some funny lines and stuff, but I really did not. I really was not a big fan of him dancing around in a Grinch costume. Quite honestly, okay. Liar Liar was also okay. We'll stay away. I tend to stay away from The Mask, Liar Liar, The Truman Show. Cable Guy's okay. I will actually I'll actually watch it. Okay, but I just think he's a little creepy in that. But other than that, all right. He's one of those actors that you either like or you hate. There's no in between. Okay, Jim Carrey. For those of you who don't know, he actually started off. Born in Canada, and he started off to American audiences in a little comedy show on Fox called In Living Color. He was one of the only white stars on that show, surrounded by a bunch of blacks, including the Wayans, okay, or the Wayan brothers. Okay, they were the leads for that show. And Jim Carrey, having to be in compliance with these diversity things, they put Jim Carrey in as an excuse to say, "Hey, we're not at all." In order to attract both the blacks and the whites, they brought in Jim Carrey in order to fill in the gap. Okay, he did a very good job with it too. Fire Marshal Bill, that was a good skit. Okay, let's see. Apparently, the Married Children podcast, when they did this episode, I haven't listened to this review in a couple years, but they talked about David Hasselhoff being very popular in Germany. Why was he a very popular guy in Germany? Okay, I'm not German, but I researched him while listening to the podcast and found he had a hit song called "Lawn for Freedom" that came out at the same time the Berlin Wall fell and the Germans were being reunited for the first time in 45 years. That could separate with that. Okay. He also performed the song on the top of the Berlin Wall the night it came down. Okay. There's a couple of things I liked about this episode. My first favorite one is when Jefferson is telling Marcy, "I was on my way to a job interview, but suddenly I was kidnapped by a gang of chickens, but real chickens, not you." And the other one is when Mike Piazza was, instead of having the camera on Al while he's talking, he's looking over at Kelly, and then Joe has to get in the camera's lens and say, "Unfortunately, our audience might have missed that since the camera is suddenly shooting Baywatch." Okay, Baywatch. Okay, that was a huge show throughout the '90s. Okay, and it was in syndication too. It was voted by TV Guide in 2002 as one of the worst shows in the history of television. Okay? I don't know why it was so popular. I don't even know why people watched it. All right? Okay? But I was too young to be allowed to watch it. Okay? So to speak. So, this episode is a time capsule episode. Most viewers, okay? You would have had to live through the '90s in order to understand a lot of the concepts that were going on in this episode. So it does not get a. So this episode does not get the Hall of Fame status that other episodes have earned. Okay, but I am going to be very generous and give this a very good review. A Man for No Seasons is going to get a 4 out of 5. Very good job, Man for No Seasons. Very good job, No Man, for trying to enlighten us in a time that to try to enlighten us sports fans at a time where there is hardly any sports to be around. Of course, the only thing that was around at the time, other than that shitty NBA, like you had Michael Jordan hoarding up the NBA, you had the NFL, which was about to say goodbye to LA within a couple of weeks. Yeah. LA, both LA teams left the Los Angeles market shortly after the '94 season came to an end. But that's something we can talk about in another video. Okay, so you had like the 49ers that were on par to win another Super Bowl, and their most recent Super Bowl title, so to speak. Michael Jordan had actually left the NBA, so the NBA was basically uninteresting at the time. And then I believe only other thing that was going on at the moment was the O.J. Simpson trial, which was about to kick off within the following weeks after this episode originally aired. Okay. So that is my review for Man for No Seasons. I'm sorry for there was a lot of trivia for this episode, so I'm sorry for hoarding everything up. Okay. So here is my announcement for you all. Okay. That I promised that I would share with you guys. Okay. This is going to be my last Married Children review for the next 2 months. I hate to say that as much as you guys hope you guys hate to hear it, but there's a couple of reasons behind it. Number one, my Married Children reviews are not getting very good views. Okay, and I don't know whether or not people are still watching, and I feel like I need to take a short break. okay, from this subject. Okay, number one. Number two, all right, the main reason why we are taking a break from married children is in about 45 days, at the time of the recording this video, we are approximately 45 days away from major conference realignment in the NCAA, with about a dozen schools changing conferences. And one of them, you guessed it, is Arizona. The Pac-12 is folding in the next month and a half. 10 of the 12 schools are moving to other conferences. Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah are all going over to the Big 12. Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA are all going to the Big 10. You also have Cal and Stanford going to the ACC, while Texas and Oklahoma are both moving over to the SEC. Okay? So, with conference realignment happening and with the Arizona Wildcats in the mix, we're going to be taking some time over the next few weeks to look back at Arizona's 46 years in the pack, looking at the good, bad, and the ugly during Arizona's tenure. We're also going to be looking at why the Pac-12 folded and the steps that led up to it. And we'll also look back at some of the greatest moments, okay? Greatest moments, greatest games, greatest rival matchups that had taken place throughout the pack, whether or not it involves Arizona. Okay? So that is all in the mix. And, okay, so we're going to be saying goodbye to Arizona, saying goodbye to the Pac-12, and saying hello to the Big 12, and there's a lot of transition material that will come with it. Between having to look back at our previous 46 years and what we're going to be getting ourselves into as we head into the new conference. Okay? So that's why I've said you do not want to miss what I am about to review. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that. And I promise you, by mid-July, if we have time in between, I'll try to see if I can squeeze another episode of Married Children. But if not, do understand that this may be the last review that I do of Married Children until mid-July. Okay? So that's going to be a wrap for me. Be on the lookout for a ton of Arizona Wildcat and Pac-12 material over the next couple of weeks. And until the next time we meet, Mr. Wildcat remind you to be good, be careful, and behave. Whoa, Bundy!